Hello and welcome to Severson-Dell's Nature Center and Forest Preserve. I'm Ann Wasser, the director of the Nature Center, and we're so excited to have you come explore the creek with us today. There's all kinds of stuff you can find living in the creeks in northern Illinois, but today we are specifically going to be looking at fish and crayfish and some of the cool adaptations that allow them to live in an aquatic environment. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you along. So one of the things you want to be careful of when you're out exploring in creeks is remembering that you're visiting an animal's home. It's fun to flip over rocks. We want to make sure that we put those rocks back gently. And you guys, I have a crayfish crawling over my foot right now. So it's really fun if you can stand still. I know it might seem a little creepy, but it's also pretty cool. I can feel the ends of his feet. Oh, and there's now one on my right foot. I think he might actually be cleaning the back of my heel a little bit right now. But we want to make sure that we're being respectful when we're out here and remembering that we are visiting. And so I know you sometimes see people out stacking rocks and making kind of cool sculptures. We want to make sure that we don't do that, because those rocks provide habitat for our crayfish and little burrows for fish to kind of get into when they need to for safety. So we want to make sure that we keep those rocks in place as much as we can, and that when we lift up a rock, we put it back where we found it. Because think about it, it'd be like somebody coming and ripping the roof off your house. You like your roof on your house, right? I do too. So we want to make sure that we're being respectful when we're out here. So enjoy, but make sure that, remember, you are a visitor out here. So have fun and enjoy. Got him. All right, so after a little bit of patience and using my toes as bait, we were able to get a crayfish. So this little guy, he's got all kinds of things going on. So he's got his claws, which are probably the first thing that you notice. And you'll notice that I'm holding him right behind his claws, right behind his head too. And that protects him, but it also protects me, because those little pinchers hurt. But you've got his little eyes there on the side. You've also got his antenna right here that help them feel for any movement in the water, and that's either for predators to make sure that there's nothing coming after them, but also for potential prey. But these guys are also really good at eating dead stuff, so there are little decomposers in the water. So they are really, really important to our creek ecosystems and health. If you look under here, you can start to see him blowing bubbles a little bit, and that's where he's breathing. They also do that when they get a little bit irritated too. And then you'll notice his 4 pairs of legs in here, and then his tail. And so this tail they'll use for swimming, but females also use it to hold their eggs. So they'll put their eggs in there and they tuck their tails under to keep those eggs protected. But crayfish are really cool animals in that they can breathe using their gills in the water, but they can also do it in the air. So if their gills are wet enough, they can actually get oxygen out of the air, which is really unique. Most animals that have gills aren't able to do that. So sometimes you'll see evidence of crayfish along the sides of creeks. You'll see what's called a crayfish castle, which looks like a big mud volcano. And it looks like it's stacked with a bunch of big mud balls, and that's exactly what they've done. They've used their claws to make these mud balls, and they stack them up, and they can go down in the burrow of their crayfish castle. So very cool animals and engineers. So the color of crayfish will change a little bit depending on the species of crayfish, but they'll also change based on the color of the water they're in, because they want to remain camouflaged, right? If you have a bright color on you, oop, you got a hold of my pinky. If you got a bright color on you and you stick out, you're going to be food really fast. So they try to match the color of the water that they're in. They also, because they are invertebrates, will molt. So that means that they lose their skin. And over the course of their lifetime, on average, a crayfish will molt 11 times. And so what that means is that they will crack open that shell as they get bigger, and they'll grow a new shell. So like for humans, when we grow, our skin grows with us. But for these guys, these crayfish, they have to grow a new shell as they get bigger. And it takes a lot of energy. So they've actually figured out a way to reabsorb a lot of the calcium that's in their old skeleton to put it in their new skeleton to harden. So pretty cool. These guys are absolutely amazing little critters, and we hope that you have fun exploring and looking for these guys. It takes a lot of patience, so if you get going and you're too rushed in the water, you'll scare them all away. But if you stand really still, then you can start to see them come out, and maybe you can find your own. So happy exploring. All right, in addition to crayfish, in our creeks we have a variety of different fish of all different shapes and sizes. So we've got our big guy over here and our little itty bitty guy over here, and they all play really important roles in the health of our waterways. So some of them are predators and they'll eat other fish. Some of them are algae eaters and will suck the algae off of rocks. Some of them are detritivores, so they'll eat dead stuff in the water. So they're all really important on keeping our creeks and rivers healthy. They've got really amazing adaptations. So I don't know if you can notice, this guy right here, his gill slits are opening like this on the sides, and what he's doing is he's actually sucking water through his mouth and pushing it over his gills, and then his gills are pulling oxygen out of the water. Right behind that are his pectoral fins, and those help him steer. So our pectoral muscles, like our chest muscles, they've got fins that are in kind of the same place, and they've got muscles that move them too, that allow them to steer. Back here on the sides, you'll see their pelvic fins, which are also really important for steering and staying straight in the water. And then it's kind of hard to see, but this fin right here on the back is called his dorsal fin. And that's what allows them to go straight in the water. So if they didn't have that dorsal fin, they would spin like a football. Like when you throw a football and it spirals, that dorsal fin helps with keeping them straight in the water. And then the very back, their tail has the best name for a fin ever. It's called a caudal peduncle. And that's basically the motor. That's what allows them to swim through the water. So they've got some really great adaptations in there. They also have the scales that keep their body nice and protected. And they're just really well equipped, obviously, for living in the creeks. But it's really important that when we're out there that we only keep them out for a little bit, just enough to take a look at them and get them back in, because the water gets too warm for them. We want to make sure that we're being respectful and getting them back in their homes as soon as possible after we've had a chance to take a look and make some observations and learn. So we hope you get a chance to find some fish out in your creek when you're out adventuring too. You'll get a chance to learn a little bit more about some other critters in one of our other videos here for Family Nature Adventures. We look forward to having you join us.